Hey guys, and welcome to another GameXplain discussion. I'm your host, Andre Seegers, and this time we're joined by Derek Bidner to discuss all the Smash Bros. Updates from this past week. So let's get started. Hey Derek, Smash Bros. Is out.
Yes it is. Thank goodness.
Can you believe it?
No.
The time is finally upon us. Everyone in the world can now play Smash Brothers. Well, mostly, I think. And yeah, as a result, I think the updates are, aren't being quite as eventful overall, but there's still some pretty good details this week. So that starts off on Monday, actually, where Sakurai describes a feature of the game where if you press a button, either L or R, as you go into some stages, it will change different things about them. For instance, if you hold R as you go into any stage, it'll actually switch the music to an alternate track. Or in the case of, say, the boxing ring, if you press L or Y as you enter the level, it'll choose which version of the stage you want to play on, being the boxer ring or punch-out version, respectively. So, not a huge deal, but kind of a nice touch, especially when it comes to the music, because it is nice being able to choose which track you want to play with.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, the music's some of the best parts of Smash Brothers. The soundtrack has always been amazing, and it's, you're only limited to 2 songs for each stage, but it's nice that they show you how to change it up and all that stuff, because, I don't know if that's readily available. Like, do they tell you anywhere in the game that's how you change up the music? Because I haven't seen it yet, but I just know it from people telling us in the Smash demo.
It could be one of the tip cards that appears on the screen when the game's loading, but the odds of that appearing are pretty rare. So even if it is, yeah, the game doesn't explicitly tell you, I don't think. But when you do hold R, the border does change around the stage. It's pretty clear that has some effect. Whereas by holding L, nothing visually changes on the stage select screen. So you really just have to be guessing. You just have random luck to figure that out if you didn't know about it beforehand. Especially in the case of the boxing ring, where the change is so subtle. Because swapping out for the Punch-Out theme, it's such a subtle, such a small thing.
Yeah, it's so small that I probably won't. I know this now, but I probably still won't use it because it doesn't change the stage in any other major way. So I'm like, it's good enough. I'll get what I get.
Exactly. Moving on to Tuesday, Sakurai says that we've already known how the team colors are going to work on the 3DS, where your character is surrounded by a colored border, such as like red or blue, to demonstrate what team you're on. And he shows off how it's going to work in the Wii U version, and apparently it's the exact same thing. Now to me, I was looking at this picture without reading the caption first, and I'm like, I don't even know what's going on in this picture. I didn't even see the borders until I read the caption. And because they're so easy to miss. Yeah,
it's extremely subtle, at least this close up, because it says it gets more intense the farther away you go.
Right.
So that means you'll have a much clearer view of it, which makes sense. I mean, you're close up, you should be able to tell which character you're with or who you're fighting with or that kind of thing. But yeah, it's extremely subtle. I remember, Ash was telling us he thought it was just a fun little pick of the day.
Right.
Like Sakurai said we should get from this point, but we really haven't. Just them doing taunts. But yeah, it took me a while to even see it after he told me. It is extremely subtle.
Yeah, it really is. And I've had a similar issue in the 3DS version where I think the lines actually appear to be a little bit more prominent in that one, but it's still really easy to overlook. So I actually prefer the way they used to do it, where they would tint your entire character the color of your team. I think it's a much more intuitive way of figuring out what team you're on, as opposed to adding this thin border around each character. But maybe it'll work better when we see it on the Wii U version. But I mean, it doesn't really matter. Ultimately, I'm not going to be playing teams much anyway. So
yeah, exactly. The only time I see it coming up is in classic mode. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And it is kind of nice to be able to still choose your outfit. If so, that is the one advantage of this type of method. But yeah, it is kind of tricky to see at times. But
Okay, well, moving on to Wednesday, we get a look at the Orbital Gate stage, which we found out more details about. Now, me and Ash already talked about this super in-depth, so I don't think there's a whole lot more for us to say. But you haven't given your thoughts yet, Derek, so what do you think about learning more about the stage?
I think this is an awesome-looking stage. I mean, I think it's just visually impressive, and as Ash was saying, it really makes you want an HD Star Fox, which we are getting, but that wasn't quite as impressive as what this is. But no, it looks great. And it actually kind of reminds me, as far as the setup, it does kind of remind me of the Paper Mario stage in 3DS.
Yeah, how you go for between 3 different areas, basically?
Yeah, how you start at one, and then it shifts into another, and then it shifts into a final one. And even I do like how the perspective kind of changes too, or at least it looks like it, because for the first two, it looks like you're looking to the side, but then you get the R wings from the back, which is just kind of a cool look. It almost makes it more like the Mute City F-Zero stage. So I like the change in perspectives, and it makes it seem a lot more dynamic.
Yeah, well, Ash actually described it as being like, Sector Z, or rather Quinaria, combined with Lilac Cruise. Like, you get the best elements of both stages in there. You get the crazy background of Lilac Cruise with the side-scrolling elements of Quinaria. And it is pretty similar to Paper Mario, as you mentioned. What I do like about this one, though, is it at least seems to be more contextually tied together with how you go from area to area, as opposed to Paper Mario, which just just randomly changes.
Yeah, no, it definitely, you can really see how each one leads to the next, and it's actually, you can just see how it just continually loops as well. So no, it's just a really great stage. It's much better than anything we thought of when we first saw that just little teaser image.
Okay, well, moving on to Thursday, we learned about a new assist trophy, which, I mean, if you've been following our videos, you've already known about for a while, being Sheriff from the 1979 game. In fact, Sakurai dedicates his whole post just to describing how that game worked. And apparently it was, it was a shooter, an 8-directional shooter. And Sakurai goes so far as to mention that you used one stick to move around and another stick to shoot. And he basically says that this was the first twin-stick shooter game, which is kind of awesome.
Well, the other historical significance for this game is it was the first game that Miyamoto did any kind of character design for.
Interesting.
So that's another big reason that it's very well remembered, and well, not well remembered, but notable and worthy of getting its own post. Though I've never played Sheriff, and I don't think you have either. I'm not. That's before my time. But is it sad that when I first saw this guy, I was like, it was just a split second, but I thought it was a Custard from Custard's Revenge.
I had literally every time I see him, I think the exact same thing. I have the same thought.
It's a shame, isn't it?
It is unfortunate. Also hilarious, but very unfortunate.
Yeah. Oh God, what's he shooting?
Oh man. I will say though, it is a neat throwback. Like, this is probably the most WTF trophy they have, or assist trophy they have in the game. Like, even, I mean, at least if not, if it doesn't beat the Pong one or the Color TV 6 one, it's right up there with it.
What's he do exactly again?
He just walks around the screen, in whatever direction he wants, and he shoots bullets.
Oh, okay.
So if you get hit by that bullet, it sends you flying. So yeah, he doesn't abide by the environment at all. He can just walk wherever he wants, which makes him a pretty big hazard, actually.
The other kind of notable thing is that we're starting to see a lot more often Sakurai using the alternate costumes for the characters. Because Link is in his Dark Link costume here, and it's kind of cool because it's just sort of a nod that the game's out here, have some different costumes to change things up.
All right, well, moving on to Friday, we get the final pick of the week, also the most boring, being the title screen of Smash Bros. 3DS. But this really is just more of a picture he wanted to showcase to represent the release of the game, being today, which is awesome. So, as I mentioned, the game's out. Hopefully you guys are all enjoying it. Now, unfortunately, Sakurai does mention that, his post will come to an end at the end of the year, which I think we already knew. In fact, he basically already said that. But it is kind of crazy to think just how close that is.
Yeah, I mean, wow, we're only, 3 months away from the end of the year? October, November, December. Yeah. Yep. Jeez. Time flies, doesn't it?
I know. We've been doing these for over a year now, I think, these discussions. So
November will be our anniversary. It's kind of crazy. And yeah, it's just been, doing these every week, and it's been fun. We got new people on each week. It's been fun. I'm going to miss this. We need to find something to replace this once Sakurai decides to stop updating.
Yeah. Well, I've got a few ideas. I'm sure we'll figure something out. So.
Well, that's good, because this has always been fun, and it's sort of surreal that the game is finally out. I mean, you've been playing it for the past 2-3 weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
But I finally have it in my hands. I've been playing it ever since I got home for this before this whole thing. We got a couple online matches in, and boy, am I having trouble getting adjusted to the controls.
Right? I told you it's not easy, right? Like, it's...
No, I even adjusted to what I wanted for the controls to be, which was nice and simple, and I got the hang of it. But it's just, I got to adjust to the size of the screen and to the actual controls, because it's so ingrained in you.
It is.
It is, and you just got to do that adjustment period. However, I will say by the end of our 5th match,
the one where you lost?
I lost every one of them, so yeah.
No, you were doing better.
I was starting to pick it up, so hopefully I'll get a little... Once I get up to 50 hours like you and Ash, I'll be proficient.
Yeah, definitely. There is one more thing about this screenshot. It's something we were talking about right before this discussion. You were commenting on how it's weird that the title screen is really boring. And I feel the exact same way. Like, you turn on the game, and usually every Smash Brothers game starts off with like a super epic intro, going all the way back to the first one. And this one, you just turn it on. There's no music, no sounds at all. Instead, you just get the logo and a panning of 2D figures on the bottom screen. It is literally like the lamest thing they could have thought of.
Yeah, it's like you're excited. You're turning it on for the first time. You go to that main menu and silence. Oh well, as soon as you get into the other menus, that's why I was showing off all the other menus before, because those are actually the exciting ones.
Alright, well I think that wraps up our weekly Smash Brothers discussion, so thanks guys for watching. If you liked our discussion, make sure to like and follow us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain, which you can find links to in the description below, which is a good way to keep up to date on everything we post, including lots more on Smash Brothers 3DS. And of course keep an eye on GameXplain.com for more on Smash Brothers 3DS and other things gaming as well. Alright, thanks guys. Bye.